up to page number 219, and that was uploaded on my channel. And today I decided to go live because that way nobody will watch it, and maybe this way, or just try this way, it will be better. If you want to communicate with me, you can do that because the recorded form is different. Let's start. So, how your personality influences your habits. That's the heading. And then your genes are operating beneath the surface of every habit. Indeed, beneath the surface of every behavior, genes have been shown to influence everything from the number of hours you spend watching television to your likelihood to marry or divorce to your tendency to get addicted to drugs, alcohol, or nicotine. There is a strong genetic component to how obedient or rebellious you are when facing authority, how vulnerable or resistant you are to stressful events, how proactive or reactive you tend to be, and even how captivated or bored you feel during sensory experiences like attending a concert. As Robert Plomine, a behavioral geneticist King's College in London, told me, it is now at the point where we have stopped testing to see if traits have a genetic component because we literally can't find a single one that isn't influenced by our genes. Let's read it again. It is now at the point where we have stopped testing to see if traits have a genetic component because we literally can't find a single one that isn't influenced by our genes. Acha, so what you were saying that it is now the point is we don't see how our genetic we stopped seeing we stopped it is now at the point where we stop testing to see, like now we stop testing to see if our genetic components are influencing us or not. Bundled together, your unique cluster of genetic traits predispose you to a particular personality. Your personality is a set of characteristics that is consistent from situation to situation. The most proven scientific analysis of personality traits is the Big Five, which breaks them down into 5 spectrum of behavior. Bundled together, your unique cluster of genetic traits predispose you to particular personality. Your personality is the set of characteristics that is consistent from situation to situation. The most proven scientific analysis of personality traits is known as the Big Five, which breaks them down into 5. Okay. So he explained that Big Five personality spectrum are there, which influences because of our genes, our genetic traits. Okay. Hi. So, openness to experience, from curious and inventive on one hand to cautious and consistent on the other hand. Openness to experience, from curious and inventive on one hand to cautious and consistent on the other hand. Consciousness, organized and efficient to easygoing and spontaneous. Extroversion, or outgoing and energetic to solitary and reserved. You likely know them as extroverts versus introverts. Agreeableness, friendly and compassionate to challenging and detached. Neuroticism, anxious and sensitive to confident, calm and stable. के पास। कौन सा okay, so page number 221 now. All five characteristics have biological underpinnings. Extroversion, for instance, can be tracked from birth. If scientists play a loud noise in the nursing ward, some babies turn toward it while others turn away. When the researchers tracked these children through life, they found that the babies who turned towards the noise were more likely to grow up to be extroverts. Okay, those who turned away were more likely to become introverts. People who are high in agreeableness are kind, considerate, and warm. They also tend to have higher natural oxytocin levels, a hormone that plays an important role in social bonding, increases feelings of trust, and can act as a natural antidepressant. You can easily imagine how someone with more So, people who are high in agreeableness are kind, considerate, and warm. They also tend to have higher natural oxytocin levels, a hormone that plays an important role in social bonding, increases feelings of trust, and can act as a natural antidepressant. You can easily imagine how someone with more oxytocin might be inclined to build habits like writing thank you notes or organizing social events. As a third example, consider neuroticism, which is personality trait all people possess to various degree. Okay, people who are high in neuroticism, they tend to be anxious and worry more than others. This trait has been linked to hypersensitivity of the amygdala, the portion of the brain responsible for noticing threats. In other words, people who are more sensitive to negative cues in the environment are more likely to score high in neuroticism. Our habits are not solely determined by our personalities, but there is no doubt that our genes nudge us in a certain direction. Okay, our deeply rooted preferences make certain behavior easier for some people than for others. You don't have to apologize for these differences or feel guilty about them, but you can do have to work with them. A person who scores lower on consciousness, for example, will be less likely to be orderly by nature and may need to rely more heavily on environment designed to stick with good habits. As a reminder for the less conscientious readers among us, environment design is a strategy we discussed in chapter 6 and 12. The takeaway is that you should build habits that work for you. Personality. People can get ripped working out like a bodybuilder, but if you prefer rock climbing or cycling or rowing, then shape. Okay, so we came in 200 uh 202 number page. Okay, so what where I was, personality 222. Personality. People can get ripped working out like a bodybuilder, but if you prefer rock climbing or cycling or rowing, then shape your exercise habit around your interests. If your friend follows a low carb diet, but you find that low fat works for you, then more power to you. If you want to read more, don't be embarrassed if you prefer steamy romance novels over non-fiction. Read whatever fascinates you. You don't have to build the habits everyone tells you to build. Choose the habit that best suits you, not the one that is most popular. There is a version of every habit that can bring you joy and satisfaction. find it. Habit needs to be enjoyable if they are going to stick. This is the core idea behind the fourth law. Tailoring your habits to your personality is a good start, but this is not the end of the story. Let's turn our attention to finding and designing situation where you are at a natural advantage. Okay, so what this is basically saying that based on your characteristics you should decide your choices. You should decide that what kind of habit you should build based on your genes. So like what is according to your personality, you should build habits that will help you to stay consistent, and it will also help you to enjoy that habit. So how to find a game where the odds are in your favor. Learning to play a game where the odds are in your favor is critical for maintaining motivation and feeling successful. In theory, you can enjoy almost anything. In practical, you are more likely to enjoy the things that come easily to you. People who are talented in a particular area tend to be more competent at the task and are then praised for doing a good job. They stay energized because they are making progress where others have failed, and because they get rewarded with better pay and bigger opportunities, which not only makes them happier but also propels them to produce even higher quality work. It's a virtuous cycle. Okay. Page number 223. Pick the right habit and progress is easy. Pick the wrong habit and life is a struggle. How do I pick the right habit? The first step is something we covered in the third law: make it easy. In many cases, when people pick the wrong habit, it simply means they picked a habit that was too difficult. When a habit is easy, you are more likely to be successful. When you are successful, you are more likely to feel satisfied. However, there is another level to consider. In the long run, if you continue to advance and improve, any area can become challenging. At some point, you need to make sure you are playing the right game for your skill set. How do you figure that out? Sorry, guys. The most common approach is trial and error. Of course, there is a problem with this strategy. Life is short. You don't have time to try every career, date every eligible bachelor, or play every musical instrument. Thankfully, there is an effective way to manage this uh, conundrum, and it is known as the explore exploit trade off. In the beginning of a new activity, there should be a period of exploration. In relationships, it's called dating. In college, it's called the liberal arts. In business, it's called the split testing. The goal is to try out many possibilities, research a broad range of ideas, and cast a wide net. After this initial period of exploration, shift your focus to the best solution you've found, but keep experimenting occasionally. The proper balance depends on whether you're winning or losing. If you are currently winning, you explore. If you are currently losing, you continue to explore, and explore. In the long run, it is probably most effective to work on the strategy that seems to deliver the best result about 90 to 80 to 90% of the time, and keep exploring with the remaining 10 to 20%. Google famously asked employees to spend 80% of the work week on their official job and 20% on projects of their choice, which has led to the creation of blockbuster products like AdWords and Gmail. The optimal approach also depends on how much time you have. If you have a lot of time, like someone at the beginning of their career, it makes more sense to explore, because once you find the right thing, you will have a good amount of time to exploit it. If you are pressed for time, say as you come up on the deadline for a project, you should implement the best solution you've found so far and get some results. As you explore different options, there are a series of questions you can ask yourself to continually narrow in on the habits and areas that will most satisfying to you. What feels like fun to me but work to other. The mark of whether you are made for a task is not whether you love it but whether you can handle the pain of the task easier than most people. When you are enjoying yourself while others people are complaining, the work that hurts you less than it hurts other the work you were made to do. What makes me lose track of time? Flow is the mental state you enter when you are focused on the task at hand that the rest of the world fades away. This blend of happiness and peak performance is what athletes and performers experience when they are in the zone. It is nearly impossible to experience a flow state and not find the task satisfying, at least to some degree. Where do I get greater returns than the average person? We are we are continually comparing ourselves to those around us, and a behavior is more likely to be satisfying when the comparison is in our favor. When I started writing at jamesclear.com, my email list grew very quickly. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing well, but I knew that results seemed to be coming faster for me than for some of my colleagues, which motivated me to keep writing. What comes naturally to me? For just a moment, ignore what you have been taught. Ignore what society has told you. Ignore what others expect of you. Look inside. Look inside of yourself and ask, what feels natural to me? These are the questions. What feels natural to me? What have I felt alive? When have I felt alive? When have I felt like the real me? No internal judgments of people pleasing, no second guessing of self reflection, just feeling of engagement and enjoyment. Whenever you feel authentic and genuine, you are headed in the right direction. Let me highlight this one. Some of these processes is just luck. Michael Phelps and Hikemel Guroj were lucky to born with a rare set of abilities that are highly valued by society and to be placed in the ideal environment for those abilities. We all have limited time on this planet, and the truly great among us are the ones who not only work hard but also have the good fortune to be exposed to opportunities that favor us. But what if you don't want to leave it up to luck? If you can't find a game where the odds are stacked in your favor, create one. Scott Adams, the cartoonist behind Dilbert, says everyone has at least a few areas in which they could be in the top 25% with some effort. In my case, I can draw better than most people, but I am hardly an artist. And I'm not any funnier than the average stand-up comedian who never makes it big. But I am funnier than most people. The magic is that few people can draw well and write jokes. It's the combination of two that makes what I do so rare. And when you add in my business background, suddenly I had a topic that few cartoonists could hope to understand without living it. When you can't win by being better, you can win by being different. Okay. By combining your skills, you reduce the level of competition, which makes it easier to stand out. You can shortcut the need for a genetic advantage or for years of practice by rewriting the rules. A good player works hard to win the game everyone else is playing. Okay. A great creates a new game that favors their strength and avoids their weaknesses. In college, I designed my own major biomechanics, which was a combination of physics, chemistry, biology, and anatomy. I wasn't smart enough to stand out among the top physics or biology majors, so I created my own game. And because it suited me, I was only ta- taking the course I was interested in. Studying felt like less of a chore. It was also easier to avoid the trap of comparing yourself to everyone else. After all, nobody else was taking the same combination of classes, so who could say if they were better or worse? Specialization is a powerful way to overcome the accident of bad genetics. The more you master a specific skill, the harder becomes for others to compete with you. Many bodybuilders are stronger than the average arm wrestlers, but even a massive bodybuilder may lose at arm wrestling because the arm wrestling champ has very specific strength. Even if you are not most naturally gifted, you can often win by being the best in a very narrow category. Boiling water will soften a potato but harden an egg. You can't control whether you are a potato or an egg, but you can decide to play a game where it's better to be hard or soft. If you can find a more favorable environment, you can transform the situation from one where the odds are against you to one where they are in your favor. But it's good. So, this is basically saying that we have to choose our habits and whatever we are doing based on our interest and our natural abilities, our genetic abilities, so that we can do it effortlessly, so that the maximum people find it difficult, but you will find it very easy because it your genes are strong on that specific subject. How to get the most out of your genes? Page number 26. 226. I forgot to mention the page numbers. But okay, so how to get the most out of your genes? Our genes do not eliminate the need for hard work. They clarify it. They tell us what to work hard on. Once we realize our strengths, we know where to spend our time and energy. We know which type of opportunities to look for and which type of challenges to avoid. The better we understand our nature, the better our strategies can be. Biological differences matter. Even so, it's more important. Even so, it's more productive to focus on whether you are fulfilling your own potential than comparing yourself to someone else. The fact that you have a natural limit to any specific ability has nothing to do with whether you are reaching the ceiling of your capabilities. People get so caught up in the fact that they have limits that they rarely exert the effort required to get close to them. We already reached page number 227. Furthermore, genes can't make you successful if you are not doing the work. Yes, it's possible that the right trainer at the gym has better genes, but if you haven't put in the same reps, it's impossible to say if you have been dealt a better or worse genetic hand. Until you work as hard as those you admire, don't explain away their success as luck. In summary, One of the best ways to ensure your habits remain satisfying over the long run is to pick behavior that align with your personality and skills. Work hard on the things that come easy. So, chapter summary. The secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. Pick the right habit of progress is easy. Pick the right habit and progress is easy. Pick the wrong habit and life is a struggle. Genes cannot be easily changed, which means they provide a powerful advantage in favorable circumstances and in serious disadvantage in unfavorable circumstances. Habits are easier when they align with your natural abilities. Choose the habits that suit best suit you. Play a game that favors your strength. If you can't find a game that favors you, create one. Genes do not eliminate the need for hard work, they clarify it. They tell us what to work hard on. So, page number 229. This is the last page. Okay. And this is the next chapter. Chapter number 19. The Goldilocks rule. How to stay motivated in life and work. In 1955, Disneyland had just opened in Anaheim, California, when a 10-year-old boy walked in and asked for a job. Labor laws were loose back then, and the boy managed to land a position selling guidebooks for $0.50 apiece. Within a year, he had transitioned to Disney's magic shop, where he learned tricks from the older employees. He experimented with jokes and tried out simple routines on visitors. Soon he discovered that what he loved, and not performing magic but performing in general. He set his sights on becoming a comedian. Beginning in his teenage years, he started performing little clubs around Los Angeles. The crowds were small and his act was short. He was rarely on stage for more than 5 minutes. Most of the people in the crowd were too busy drinking or talking with friends to pay attention. One night, thank you. One night, he literally delivered his stand-up routine to an empty club, like me delivering book reading in an empty live. So what? I'm feeling good. That's why I'm doing this, and to keep myself accountable. Yeah. Page number 230. So this is the last page of today's task. It wasn't glamorous work, but there was no doubt he was getting better. His first routine, I'm also getting better. Who said empty life? Only 2 people. Oh, thanks. You are always there for me. Thank you. It wasn't glamorous work, but there was no doubt he was getting better. His first routine would only last 1 or 2 minutes. Hey Akansha, my page is almost over. So, is it possible to join in this live? Like, can you join in this live? I don't know. I've never done this before, so we can have a conversation after this. Want to? No. Okay then. Later. Let me read it. So, it wasn't glamorous work, but there was no doubt he was getting better. His first routines would only last 1 or 2 minutes. By high school, his material had expanded to include a 5-minute act, and I'm just listening here. Okay. By high school, his material has expanded to include a 5-minute act and a few years later, a 10-minute show. At 19, he was performing weekly for 20 minutes at a time. He had to read 3 poems during the show just to make the routine long enough, but his skills continued to progress. He spent another decade experimenting, adjusting, and practicing. He took a job as a television writer, and gradually he was able to land his own appearances on talk shows. By the mid 1970s, he had worked his way into being a regular guest on the Tonight Show and Saturday Night Live. Finally, after nearly 15 years of work, the young man rose to fame. He toured 60 cities in 63 days, then 72 cities in 80 days, then 85 cities in 90 days. He had 18,695 people attended one show in Ohio. Another 45,000 tickets were sold for his 3-day show in New York. He catapulted to the top of his genre and became one of the most successful comedians of his time. See, by practicing, by anything can happen. Okay. So his name is Steve Martin. Martin's story offers a fascinating perspective on what it takes to stick with habits for the long run. Comedy is not for the timid. It is hard to imagine a situation that would strike fear into the hearts of more people than performing alone on stage and failing to get a single laugh. And yet, Steve Martin faced this fear every week for 18 years. In his words, 10 years spent learning, 4 years spent refining, and 4 years as a wild success. Why it is that some people like Martin stick with their habits, whether practicing jokes or drawing cartoons or playing guitar, while most of us struggle to stay motivated. How do we design habits that pull us in rather than ones that fade away? Scientists have been. So we completed page number 230. 10 pages are over, but I still want to read. So just let me find the answer. How some people stick with their habit and how some people fade away. So scientists have been for many years, while there is still much to learn. One of the most consistent findings is that the way to maintain motivation and achieve peak levels of desire is to work on tasks of just manageable difficulty. Okay? The human brain loves a challenge, but only if it is within an optimal zone of difficulty. Okay, if you love tennis and try to play a serious match against a 4-year-old, you will quickly become bored. It's easy, you will win every point. In contrast, if you play a professional tennis player, tennis player like Roger Federer or Serena Williams, you will quickly lose motivation because the match is too difficult. Which means too easy, we will lose interest, and too difficult, then also we will lose interest. Now consider playing tennis against someone who is equal. As the game progresses, you win a few points and then lose a few. You have a good chance of winning, but only if you really try. Your focus narrows, distractions fade away, and you find yourself fully invested in the task at hand. And this is a challenge of just manageable difficulty, and it is a prime example of Goldilocks rule. The Goldilocks rule states that human experiences peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. Martin's comedy career is an excellent example of Goldilocks rule in practice. Each year he expanded his comedy routine, but only by a minute or two. He was always adding new materials, but he also kept a few jokes that were guaranteed to get laughs. There were just enough victories to keep him motivated and just enough mistakes to keep him working hard. When you are starting a new habit, it's important to keep the behavior as easy as possible so you can stick with it even with conditions aren't perfect. Like this reading book habit, so I have kept only 10 pages so that I can read it very easily, because 10 pages are very easy for me. Like I can easily read 10 pages. Hmm. So when you are when you are starting a new habit, it's important to keep the behavior as easy as possible so you can stick with it even if your condition aren't perfect. This is an idea we covered in detail while discussing the third law of behavior. Okay, once a habit has been established, however, it's important to continue to advance in small ways. These little improvement and new challenges keep you engaged, and if you hit the Goldilocks zone just right, you can achieve a flow state. Okay, so I can achieve flow state in this reading book habit. So up to this, I'm concluding today page number 232 up to this, and let's do it tomorrow. I know I can do it because now 10 pages are also. Oh wait, I've done something that I want to show you guys. So what I did is I've did this like 10 pages. I've measured 10 pages, and then I wrote down day 1 and day 2 like this is day 9. So this is day 9. Okay, so this is day 9, and I've completed day 8 and more pages. So I will also write that day 1, day 2 and tick it. So another day completed, day up to date is complete, and only 2 more days left. There 2 or 3 days left. I will complete reading this book. So I'm happy, and thank you guys. Thank you Akansha for cheering me up and we are done for today. Let's see you tomorrow. I know I can be consistent now because I have YouTube live. Thank you. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.